Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff, your host, and joining me right now is my co-host, my co-laborer out in the vineyard and investment advisor, Terrence Hollingsworth. Terry, are you there?
Hey, how are you doing, Dr. Ratliff?
Good, my brother. How are you doing? And how are we looking with the financials today?
A real important thing happened today, right? The inflation report came out
Yep.
last month. It was 9.1. It dipped a little bit to 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
And so, guess what? This is what happens when the Federal Reserve. This is why they raise interest rates to try to slow people's spending down, in hopes that we can lower prices overall for everybody else. So we're still far away from Federal Reserve's target of 2% inflation every month, but we're starting to get there. And so
Yes.
the next Fed meeting is, I think, September, and at that meeting, if the data keeps coming back with the inflation being as high as it is, we'll probably see another rate hike. But
Yeah.
this is what we do, right?
That's right. That's right. And we talk about these things in our virtual online master financial education class, right?
Yes, sir. Every
So,
Thursday, 5:30 Chicago time, and I told somebody today. I said it's a safe place to ask dumb questions,
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
And that's not meaning there's no dumb questions, as they say,
right.
but we have people that always have questions in large groups, and then they fail to answer the question, they fail to get the answers they need, and so
Yes.
we just want to create a very comfortable space for people to come in. If you have a question, ask it, talk to more professionals, people that are going through the same exact thing that you're
Hmm.
going through.
Yes.
And that's that. So
Yeah, we get into a lot of the for those who may not be experienced investors. We talk about things such as CPI, the Consumer Price Index, and the relevance of that as it relates to gas prices and rent and food, and you talk a little bit about the stock market and the fact that, like today, the Nasdaq was up and the Dow was up, and the significance of that as investors, and talking about the inflationary period coming off his 40-year high, which impacts whether Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, will raise the interest rates or not. So we talk about those things. So you don't have to be an expert. Um, Terrence is the expert in the class, and he can answer those questions, and I can answer them from an economic standpoint as well. So join us. Come virtually online. Send your interest to my email address, sratliff68 at yahoo.com, and then I will send you a link to access the class. It's just that simple.
yeah, I mean the one thing that we all agree on is economic development is a important piece of what we do every single day, and what that looks like in communities and in these different villages in Maywood, Bellwood, the Proviso Township,
Hmm.
is we have to make sure that we are talking about these things. And it's interesting. I'm glad we're having Mayor Harvey on, because
Yes.
how does Bellwood is a suburb of Chicago,
Right.
and we have people, working class people. They have these ideas about, hey, we want to, live the American dream, and how does Bellwood does do that? How do they
Hmm.
help them get there? And the class is about how do we get there, right? And
Absolutely.
so, like I said, join us. It's free. It's open to the public, and we do it every Thursday.
Fruitful conversations take place. And before I introduce Mayor Harvey, I want to bring to everyone's attention an unfortunate event that took place recently with a fire that took place in the village of Broadview. A family of a single mother and one child who is in need of some support in the village. They lost their home, and so there are resources out there to try to provide temporary housing. But in the meantime, there's a need such as women's clothing and shoes and children clothes that they're asking to be donated. The child is a 3-year-old male. Just specifically, his shoe size is a 10. Clothing sizes of 5T. Mom is also asking for pull-ups for size 5T. Mom wears a 2XL shirt and an XL or size 16 pants. Shoe size is size 10. Collecting clothing, shoes, and gift cards for the family. All items can be donated at the Village of Broadview Fire Department from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. starting today and continuing until Friday at noon. So please support this single mom and, be able to be a blessing to them. So thank you very much for your attention to this matter.
Yeah, say that one more time. Where can people donate items?
Absolutely. So all items can be donated at the Village of Broadview Fire Department from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They already started the push today, and you can do that until this Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central Standard Time.
Awesome.
So we'll be certainly in prayer for the mom and child.
All right. Well, listen, I should stop talking so we can talk to Mayor Harvey and see everybody on Thursday at 5:30.
Absolutely. And so I want to introduce a phenomenal guest. His name is Mayor Andre Harvey, but he's done a lot of things before he became the first African-American mayor of Bellwood. He's a respected and well-known 53-year resident and public service in the village. Mayor Harvey embodies the perseverance, commitment, and optimism that has made the village of Bellwood a great place for families to live, work, and play. Mayor Harvey has made history as Bellwood's first African-American firefighter in 1988 and the first African-American fire chief in 1996. And in 1996, that same year, Harvey's commitment to moving the village forward led him to create a successful mentoring program for troubled young men, which led to the formation of the Lady Dribblers girls basketball and mentoring program. Both programs continue to motivate youth to this day. He's also the founding director of the Bellwood Teen Zone, the first facility in Proviso Township for youth to study and socialize under adult supervision in a dedicated facility. Prior to becoming mayor, Harvey was the director of public safety, where he benefits from his experience in multiple safety and law enforcement roles to manage the village's police and fire departments and the Bellwood Office of Emergency Management. During his tenure as chief, Harvey led the fire department upgrading basic ambulance services to advanced service, which included the village's emergency medical technicians becoming certified as paramedics. And in 2010, as fire chief, and while still maintaining certification as a police officer, he was promoted to director of public safety and took on the additional responsibilities of managing the more than 50-officer police department of BOEM. And in 2017, Fire Chief Harvey became the first African-American mayor of Bellwood. Mayor Harvey did attend District 88 school, which is called to this day Thurgood Marshall Elementary, formerly known as Roosevelt Elementary and Roosevelt Junior High. He received an associate degree in fire technology from Triton Junior College in River Forest, a bachelor's degree in fire management from Southern Illinois University, and a master's degree in management from Keller School of Management. We'll talk about his additional civic and social and political involvement as it relates to the village of Bellwood and Proviso Township. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Mayor Harvey has been married for 40 years to his lovely wife, Nada. They have 2 adult children, Damone and Jasmine, and 2 granddaughters, Sanaya and Kamora. So besides every good man, there is a good woman, or besides a good woman, there's a good man. Goes hand in hand. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the podcast the Honorable Mayor, Village of Bellwood, Andre Harvey.
Obviously, I'm not Mayor Harvey. I don't know what we lost him in the green room back here, and hopefully he'll make it back. But let's talk about Bellwood, right? It's part of Proviso Township, and you can't talk about Maywood without talking about Bellwood.
Right, absolutely. The 2 communities next to each other. Bellwood is a little further west than Maywood, but nonetheless, they are neighbors. There's a lot of connection between Maywood and Bellwood, as you stated. Even, Mayor Harvey, as a young man, used to go to what was known as the Central Area Park District in Maywood, which was also called the Rec. So a lot of fun. Mayor Harvey did, spend a lot of time in Maywood, and he knows my older brothers very well. So he's a little older than myself, but there's that indirect connection with Maywood. But he cut his teeth in Bellwood, to be fair, and he's done a lot. His profile doesn't do justice to everything that he has accomplished in his life politically or socially or civically. So it's all about connections, right?
Yeah, so we're living in a day where so many black men or black people are the first of, the in history of doing great work, and so
Mhm.
as a black man, for him to be the first black mayor and be the first black police chief, those are huge accomplishments that matter,
Yeah,
right?
it does. And and I echo those comments that you just made. Being the first African American firefighter in Bellwood, those who knew Bellwood way back in the day, this was a vision that we knew through prayer and perseverance would become a reality. Not knowing when that would happen, but we knew that it would happen eventually. And then just to become the first mayor of the village of Bellwood is really just ecstatic. We in Maywood were just so ecstatic when he became the first African American mayor in April of 2017. Mayor Pasquale was the mayor in Village of Bellwood for many years.
Hey,
So
so we have Mayor Harvey back, so I'm gonna introduce Mayor Andre Harvey.
Hey man, thank you everybody. Bear with us, but I keep losing the connection for some reason.
that's all
I'm
right.
I'm sorry, Reg. I appreciate that long bio that you went through, and Terrence, I appreciate you as well. So hey, I'm so happy to be on the show that I
Absolutely.
just really don't know what to do at this point, and I'm so elated that the show uh is a Maywood theme, right? What's the name of it? Connect? Is it live in Maywood? Give me the
Yeah, it's called Let's Talk Maywood, but
Let's
it,
Talk
it does
Maywood.
cover, provides a township mayor. It
No,
does.
no worries. No.
Yeah.
Maywood is what I like because Let's Talk Maywood is very unique and interesting because my parents moved to Bellwood in 1969, and
Hmm.
we moved right on the border of Maywood, Bellwood at 22nd and Randolph.
Okay.
And if anybody knows about Bellwood back in the 1960s or the late or early 70s, it was a pretty much 100% white community.
Hmm.
So the in those days, living on the border of Bellwood, Maywood embraced me. Maywood is where I
Wow.
grew up, and Maywood is where I was allowed to come across the tracks and hang out with people that look like me, play with people
Absolutely.
that look like me,
Yeah.
do things with people that look like me that embrace me. So I
Absolutely.
tell Maywood residents all the time, I'm a product of Maywood and Bellwood. So I got the
Absolutely.
best of both worlds. So
Absolutely.
so Let's Talk Maywood is the proper title for me to be on because I'm a Maywoodian through
Thank you,
and
sir.
through.
Absolutely. We embrace you as such as well. So my older brothers, I was just telling Terrence on the other side that, you basically cut your teeth with my brothers Phil and Orlando and Dirk and Chris
Yeah,
and
yeah,
over
yeah,
at the Central Area Park District,
yeah,
the
yeah.
rec.
Right at the rec, Century Park District. That's where I used to hang out. And I probably met your brothers, man, when I was probably 10, 11 years old. And
Wow.
because the rec is what was happening back in the 70s. And my mom actually was a counselor there and took me and my sister there to hang out with like I said, people that look like us. So
Absolutely.
the Ratliff family is part of my family, and it's so ironic that people don't know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you said Orlando, but I know him as Onion. So
Onion. Right. Right. Well, I want people to say Onion. That's a silly name. Come
yeah,
on. Yeah.
so Onion
Yeah.
and Phil
Yeah.
and Dirk,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we hung like together from little bitty soldiers up to grown men, and
Wow.
I loved every minute of it, and I spent a lot of time over there on 14th
Hmm.
and Maywood Drive,
Yes, sir. Yes,
because
sir.
one of my first girlfriends lived right across the street
Oh,
from your house, so
okay.
so
All right.
so I was over there like all the time anyway,
Nice.
but
Nice.
it is so refreshing that me and the Ratliff family can grow as
Yeah.
shorties and still to this day have connection.
Yeah.
You spoke about my mentoring.
Yes.
Well, interestingly enough, I just spoke to Dirk not long ago, and I know he had a stroke, and we talked
Yeah.
about some things, and I was
Yeah.
encouraging him,
Yeah.
to stay strong, and it was
Yeah.
like ironically he called me not long ago,
Yeah.
right? And we're connected.
Yes,
Bill,
sir.
we talked all a lot because he's working on his doctorate and all those things that he was doing.
Right.
And Onion lives in Bellwood now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and And about 3 weeks ago, a new young lady in the basketball program walked up to me, and she'd been in the program for three weeks, and she said, "Hey," and her and her mom said, "Hey, I think we got a connection." I was like, "What is that?" Her name is Jasmine. She said, "You know my granddaddy."
Wow.
Right? You and my granddaddy came up together. So little Jazz is probably about 12 or 13 years old, and it started in our program, and she's just a delight. And I say the connection continues and continues, and that's what we want for our kids. So I'm elated to be part of the Ratliff family.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. And it's leaders like you who never forget where they came from. You went out there in higher academia. You've accelerated in your career. Even as a first African American firefighter and propelling to become the first African American fire chief, and just continue to blossom in your career as a first African American mayor of the village of Bellwood, which is 20,000 residents.
Oh, about 20,000 residents, and people don't know this. Also, I'm on my 34th year as an employee in the village of Bellwood. Like you said, started off as the first African American firefighter, but I got so many stories that's connected to Maywood that is just unbelievable. So I took the test to be a firefighter in Bellwood, came out number 1 on the list. I also 2 months later took the test in Maywood and became number 1 on the Maywood fire list because all my friends worked in Maywood.
Right.
And I got hired in Maywood first. So a good friend of mine, Dr. McKenna, who was a police and fire commissioner in Maywood, called me and said, "Hey, I got some good news for you. We're hiring you to be a Maywood firefighter." He said, "I got some other news for you too, and it's not bad, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to turn down the job." I said, "Dr. McKenna, what are you talking about?" He said, "Because I want you to be a pioneer in Bellwood."
Wow.
And it's easy to come to Maywood and work with your friends and your peers, but I want you to go to Bellwood and be the first there and be a pioneer and do what's right. He said, "But I'm gonna tell you this: if they don't treat you right, you call me and I'm gonna hire you back in Maywood instantly." So I thank Dr. McKenna for putting me in this spot, because if it wasn't for him giving me the hard lesson of, "Hey man, go somewhere else where it's not gonna be as easy and you're not gonna be as comfortable and you're gonna be the first." So Dr. McKenna, I give all praise. Al McKenna, he's from Maywood.
Absolutely.
He's the guy, he's the man who told me, "Don't take the Maywood job, go to Bellwood and be a pioneer." And that's why I'm in Bellwood today.
That's awesome, man. That's an awesome story that people need to hear. I mean, Dr. Al McKenna, he's a visionary, even during his involvement in Maywood. He was also the executive director of the Maywood Park District some years ago. I went to school with his daughter, Keisha. Shout out to Keisha McKenna, awesome young lady. And, that's what we're talking about, intertwined between Bellwood, Maywood, and him unselfishly encouraging you to be a pioneer in Bellwood. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yes. And I just saw his granddaughter this past weekend at the Proviso West alum picnic. And she came up to me and said, "Hey, my granddad, I gotta speak for my granddaddy." He said hello. And she said he always tell a story how he catapulted you into the position that he's in. And I told her he did do that for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. Iron sharp as iron, man. Paying it forward. I mean, that's what it's all about. And speaking of which, you're paying it forward in many ways, Mayor Harvey. Not just politically as mayor, but you're blazing the trail. I mean, as a mayor, and in the realm of being a fire chief, and in the realm of being an educator, a volunteer, an organizer, things of that nature. And talk about how you're able to wrap all this into one bow. Starting with, moving past your college years and you deciding after speaking to, a Dr. McKenna and maybe other mentors to say, "Hey, this is the trail you should blaze politically." How did you get involved with politics?
Well, politics is interesting. So as you know, I was a firefighter for 8 years. I was a fire chief for about 18, almost 20 years. I was the director of public safety. And one thing that was always instilled with me through my father, his name is Al Harvey. He has passed on at this point, but he instilled some things into me is always be the best, always work hard. And my father worked 2 and 3 jobs to make it better for my family. So he always instilled that in me. And he actually started at the post office, and I actually followed his footsteps.
Okay.
Well, he started in the military, and I actually went to the Army. And then when I came out, I became a postal worker, because, most of us as African Americans, when you get that postal job, that's like one of the best jobs you can get.
Right.
Right. You never want to leave. But then then I took the test to be a firefighter, and my father encouraged me to, hey, this is something that you should do but for your community, to show other young Black men in the community that these are jobs that you actually can do.
Yeah.
And coming into this job, I wanted to be the best I could be. And I'm so competitive. Like we talked about this, athletes are always competitive.
Yeah.
And being an athlete has always taught me to try to be better, the best person I can, and outdo anybody that's going to line up against me or with me or whatever. So
Yes.
the interesting part for my flight is I didn't go to college. I went to the Army when I was 18. Got married, went to the Army. I have a beautiful wife that put a hold on me when I was 18, and I couldn't do nothing but marry her and keep moving. So we've been married for almost 40-something years.
Yeah.
But she keeps me grounded, and she kept me grounded. So when I started at the fire department, one thing that I didn't want is I didn't want anyone to give me a handout. So I went back to college when I was 24 years old, because I thought I want to be prepared for the next steps, and I want to show my colleagues and my peers and young Black men and women in our community that we are just as smart and as talented as anybody else. So I went to Triton College, got my associate's degree. I went to Southern Illinois, got my bachelor's degree, and then I went to Keller University and got a master's degree in management.
Great school.
Because whenever it would come, and I knew it was going to come because I was going to work hard to make it come, that I was going to be promoted and these other things. I wanted to be ready and have the credentials.
Right.
To say that I'm here. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. You know, it's like that James Brown song, "Open up the door, I'll get it myself."
Right.
So that's what I did. So I worked as a firefighter. I did all those things, and I never wanted to be in politics. But I learned a long time ago, going to Proviso West, almost everything you do is politics. Yeah. I played football at Proviso West, and that's when it was a predominantly white school. And I was on the football team, and I played football, and we used to fight against our counterparts every day. Right. But what I learned is one day I'm fighting, and it's the whites against the Blacks, but I was on the football team, so the football team came and say, "Now that one belong to us. He with us." Wow. Right. So I learned politics real quick. Like, man, that's politics, right? Yeah. They got me and say, "Hey, y'all ain't gonna mess with this one." So I learned at a long time that politics is in a lot of things. Yeah. And when as working here, I was involved in politics just by telling the mayor that was before me, Mayor Pasquale, that I'm here to support you, because with me supporting you, is going to make our community better. Right. Because I can speak for our community as a Black man. I'm speaking for our community. So I stayed locked with Mayor Pasquale and let him mentor me. Now, in 2016, he decided to retire, and he asked me if I wanted to be mayor, and I said no. I don't want to be the mayor. Wow. So he said, "Well, it's a great opportunity," and I said, "I'm ready to retire, mayor. I don't want to be the mayor. I'm good." Right. But as I went home and I talked to my wife and I talked to my family, I talked to my dad and my mom, the village of Bellwood had came so far in those 16 years that Mayor Pasquale was here that I would be being a disservice if I did not step up to the plate and take on the responsibility and let someone else come in and mess up everything that we worked so hard for. Right. So that's when I decided, well, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I gave it a shot because I want the best for Bellwood. Absolutely. And I don't want to mess it up. So that's how I really got into politics, wanting to do something for my community and not letting anyone come in and mess it up.
That's fantastic. I just want to ask you really quick before we move on to the Taste of Bellwood. Did you find any resistance as you were, moving forward in your career as it relates to the village of Bellwood, seeing that the demographics was changing during your time there?
I didn't find much resistance from in the roles that I was in firefighter, fire chief, director of public safety. I think the community embraced me, and it was changing. So it was time. I can remember in 1996 when I became the fire chief that the mayor at that time was Mayor Lim. Okay. And people had told him that, hey, it's time for a change. The community is changing. You need more African American diversity in your department heads. So I was And that's another story. I was asked that I want to be the fire chief in '96, and I said no.
Wow.
Don't want no parts of that. But he taught me a lesson by saying, okay, you can get up and walk out the door. The door may never open again for you. And if you don't take this opportunity, you don't know what's happening in the future.
Right.
So I embraced that opportunity.
Fantastic.
But I'm gonna keep it real with you, Reg. I got to keep it real with you.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't get much opposition all the way up, but I would tell you the thing that hurt me the most.
What's that? Oh,
is when it was time to run for mayor, the African American naysayers that said, "Hey, we ain't ready for a black mayor. I don't want to vote for a black mayor. When you get a black person there, things are going to deteriorate and go this way and go that way."
Yeah.
It was disheartening to me,
right.
but it's the fuel that makes me work every day. That Bellwood, as an African American community, cannot fail. I cannot fail on making our community the best community it is. And it does go to say, when sometimes people think when you become black at anything that you become a failure or it's not good anymore. But I'm here to tell you, me and my administration, we're working extra hard. If I have to work 24 hours a day to be successful, that's what we're going to do.
And your administration has been, very successful. I mean, vitally successful, even during your tenure as mayor. And it goes to your leadership, not just as a black man, but as a human being, regardless of race. Okay. It is very unfortunate that, there was a subtle resistance, maybe blatant resistance from, African Americans there. And maybe in their mind, they weren't ready for change, because how often do we accept change,
Right.
But nonetheless, you persevered and you pushed on. And I thank God that you did that. And so are the citizens in Bellwood and Maywood, for that matter. So,
so let me give kudos to those. Let me give kudos to those naysayers, because most of them now say, "Hey, man, we apologize. You did a great job. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work, man. We're glad you're in there." And it was a long time coming. So I will say that we have changed people's direction and culture.
That's awesome. And so, kudos to you again for continuing to push the envelope forward, and, letting that vision become a reality. And, as a role as a black man, how do you see others behind you as you look at the village of Bellwood, for that matter, to become future leaders as African Americans?
Well, we're working real hard. We do a mentoring program still, and a couple of weeks ago we had the final day of our work program, our intern and work program here in the village of Bellwood, and we hire young African Americans, young people from the community. It could be African American minorities. We hire young people from our community, and we mentor them and talk to them about leadership. I had an intern this year. She's 20, I think she's about 20 years old. She's graduated from college in December. I let her just shadow me and work with me.
Nice.
And her eyes was open so big to what really goes on in a village like this, what goes on in the mayor's office and administration. And now she's actually considering possibly being a future leader in our communities. So we have to open the door for opportunities for our young people to come in and see what it's all about and see what the responsibility is. So we're trying to groom as many young people as we can to get involved in our community. And that's my goal. Before I leave here, I have to be able to mentor enough young people to be able to turn over the reins to continue to keep this going.
Absolutely. So you didn't close the door behind you as you move forward. You left it open for opportunities for others that follow you.
Wide open.
Wow.
Wide open. And every time I see a young person, I try to encourage them to come see what this is all about and come be part of your community, because we need them.
Absolutely. What is the name of the mentoring program, Mayor Harvey?
It's just the Bellwood mentoring program.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bellwood mentoring program.
I'm really thankful. It's a privilege to have you on our podcast, as I said before. And as we prepare to sign off on this podcast, I want to give you an opportunity for a few moments to talk about the Taste of Bellwood that starts Friday, I believe.
Starts Friday.
And any words that you'd like to share with your constituents and just, our viewers as we close this podcast, for which again, we're very privileged to have you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Reg. So the Taste of Bellwood, this is our sixth event, but it's probably our fifth one because we took 1 year off for COVID. And the Taste of Bellwood was created because, like I said, I've been living in Bellwood since 1969, and I can remember back on all the events that the Village of Bellwood used to do back in the day. We used to go to baseball games. We used to go to the circus. We used to have an event similar to the Taste of Bellwood, was just a 3 or 4 day festival. 20 years ago or so, we had an incident at one of the festivals, and the festival was closed down, and we started doing a 1 day picnic. And I thought that our community deserved to have a festival to celebrate us. We were spending so much time going to Naperville Rib Fest and other events, the Taste of Chicago and other events, which I thought we can do it right here in our home. Um, so we put together the Taste of Bellwood about 5 years ago, and it was for our community, it was for our kids, it was for us to show that we, as African American, as minorities, we can put together a festival or an event to celebrate us. And what this has done for the Village of Bellwood is tremendous, because it's similar to a picnic, a block party, a family reunion, where we have family friendly atmosphere. We have plenty of food vendors. We have a carnival for the kids. Something that we haven't seen in the community since I used to go to Kitty Land back when I was a young person. So we have that, and we have people coming out and sitting and enjoying each other and just socializing with each other, um, in a friendly atmosphere, because now in our homes, our kids, and we don't get out and meet our neighbors as like we used to in the 70s and the 80s. So the Taste of Bellwood was designed and geared for the community to come together, and it's grown. We started out our first year with 5,000 participants coming to the Taste of Bellwood. This last year, we had over 40,000 participants come to the Taste of Bellwood. This year, we have over 50 vendors, all type of food vendors, different types of food. We have carnival rides for the kids. We have on Friday night a stepper set, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and the name is getting out in the Chicagoland area, and we just got so many people coming to the Taste of Bellwood, because you know what? The Village of Bellwood, Maywood, we can come together as one and show off the talents that we have as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You would like have any? I want to yield you any final moments, Mayor Harvey. If there's anything you'd like to share, words of wisdom to those out there.
Okay.
Is there?
Well, my words of wisdom would be this: for our communities, we have to continue to strive at excellence. We are doing a great job here in the Village of Bellwood, the Village of Maywood, and something else that happened once I became mayor is our communities used to be divided. Maywood went its own way, Broadview went its own way. But since becoming mayor, and now that we have a young African American mayor in the Village of Maywood, we have my Katrina Thompson in the Village of Broadview, and that's Nathaniel Booker in Maywood, and we have an African American mayor in Forest Park. We are coming together. The thing that I said as a mayor, we can't be divided. Our communities can't afford to be divided. We're stronger together. So we in Proviso Township are bringing our mayors together in our communities to work together. Also, our park district, our school district, we're all coming together, because there cannot be any division if we want to be successful in our communities. So that's what the Village of Bellwood, Broadview, Maywood, Hillside, Forest Park, and all our surrounding communities are all about. And if anyone, I have an open door policy at the Village of Bellwood. It's always open. Rarely ever closes. So if there's anybody that interested in politics, interested in being a mayor, a trustee, or anything, they can stop by my office, and we will mentor and tutor anybody that wants to get into this, because this is very important for our communities. And that goes with Maywood, Broadview, and all our communities.
Well said, Mayor. One more time, please provide the date and time of the taste, when it starts and the time it take place.
Taste of Bellwood starts this Friday, 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock on Friday night. We have our stepper set, our Stepping Under the Stars event that happens on Friday night. But we have 50 vendors. About 40 of them are food vendors, 10 of them are informational vendors, selling clothing and accessories and food. We have plenty of Maywood vendors here, so you have to come on out and hang out with us. So we're going Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 6 to 10 on Friday, 12 noon to 10 p.m. on Saturday, and on Sunday we're gonna have a gospel bonanza.
Right.
We have Pastor Teddy Matthews, who is going to be preaching and doing his church service right here in the village of Bellwood from 10 to 12. So you can come out and get some gospel in you, get some Jesus in you, get some God in you, and then we're gonna have a gospel show that starts at 1 o'clock, go from 1 to 4, and then we're gonna have we're gonna switch to rhythm and blues, and we're gonna have a tremendous lineup of entertainment on Sunday to close it out, and ending with a fireworks show. But don't forget, Saturday we have entertainment on the stage. We have Jesse White Tumblers, Proviso East Marching Band. We got Flip Flop and what are their names? I can't forget my friends over on Fifth Avenue that's gonna be here. Stairway to the Stars.
Stairway to the Stars.
Right? Stairway to the Stars, my friends. They're gonna be here performing. It's just really a block party. It's not just a Bellwood taste. It's a Proviso Township, Bellwood, Broadview, and our community's taste for us. So come on out and enjoy yourself.
Mayor Harvey, thank you so much for sharing that information, and thank you for joining us on this podcast this evening. We love what you're doing in the village of Bellwood. We know that the future is bright because you are there as a leader for future generations. And we ask you to come back to the show anytime you're ready, and we want to share anything that's going on in your community. That concludes our podcast for this evening. I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. Be blessed and have a good night.